Hello, everybody, and welcome out to episode 56 of the Pod of War Gamescast. I'm your host, UF Gizmo, joined this week by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Chris Mangeli.
Hello, everyone.
And, of course, Mr. Xbox Game Pass, Mr. Craig Warren.
Hello.
So, boys, it's another week or so since the last show. God, I'm a poet and I yet to know it. So we're going to talk about lots of things today. Obviously, we've got a topic that we had the fans vote on Twitter, so thank you for the people that voted on that. We'll get to that later, but before we get to that, we will start with our usual rigmarole. So, Massive Das, Chris Pangeli, what have you bought? What have you been playing? Talk to us about the Steam Deck.
Right, so on the Steam Deck, I have played nothing. I have also played nothing on...
Who saw that coming?
I've played nothing on the Steam Deck. I've also
Get
played nothing
your bingo cards out, girl.
Do you remember, like... I'm going on a tangent straight away, Chris, I'm sorry. But you know when you buy a new console, Dave, and it has that the honeymoon period, yeah?
Yes.
So,
I'm
like,
familiar with it.
the PlayStation 4, for me, I had 6 months of glory. The Switch was less than that, I'll be honest. It's about 3 months of glory. But it was there. You remember, Dave? It was something, right?
Mm-hmm. I remember the
The
shows.
Steam Decks... It's not even got married yet, has it? It's nowhere near the honeymoon. Christ, it's
Well, Chris has got a very frantic month and a half because obviously we're going to do our top 10 games for each of the consoles we play on at the end of the year. So it's going to be a very interesting conversation for old Chris when we have to make him pick 10 games that he's played on the Steam Deck, not played on something else and that is on the Steam Deck. So might have to be a top 5. Like my Switch list, it might have to be a top 5, to be honest. But
I feel like the Steam Deck's it's been left at the altar, isn't it? It's waiting for Chris to turn up. It's it's like the next day, and Chris is still there. Like, oh, Chris is going to turn up soon, right? We're still getting married, right?
What do you think he's played more this year, Stadia or Steam Deck?
Oh, Stadia, without a doubt.
But anyway, Craig, tangent aside, Pengy, what have you been buying this week?
Yeah, so nothing on Steam Deck.
Love that.
But I have played, obviously, stuff on PC/Steam. That's more Football Manager.
Love that.
Yeah, I've played and bought nothing on Xbox. But I have downloaded through Game Pass that Signalis game, which got decent reviews, like the old school survival horror. And I've downloaded, because of Game Share, the new Call of Duty, but I'm yet to play either of them.
Love that. It's my catchphrase.
PlayStation 4, I have played nothing, but I've managed to buy a whole 2 games from a PS4, though.
Yeah, and what are they?
I
Chris?
bought Babylon's Fall
Oh,
because...
God.
For fuck's sake. This is like the worst reviewed game of the year.
Yep. But remember, I really liked last year's worst reviewed game, or was it the year before when, Balance won the world? So, who knows? And I've also picked up Star Ocean: The Defined Force for PS4 as well.
Have you started Near Automata yet? I'm fuck it. I'm going away from your order here, Chris.
No, I have not played any Neo Automata on Switch yet.
You're a terrible person, Chris. You're awful.
Yeah,
You're like the Tottenham Hotspur of gaming, aren't you?
could be.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so that's like the PlayStation. So I've picked some stuff up for it, but not played.
You've
anything.
wasted money, is what you do. You're not picked stuff up. You've spunked money away on 2 shit games, right? Okay.
Yeah, and then on the Switch, I've got picked up Tormented Souls, which was that other old school survival horror game.
I remember that. That looked bad.
So I picked that up on Switch.
Who bought 3 shit games so far? She won't play any of them. Okay.
Harvestella also turned up.
It's another shit game. Okay.
That came out on Friday, so I've not played that yet. And then the only other game that I picked up, and is the only thing I've actually really played, and that's Bayonetta 3,
An actual video game.
which I finished this afternoon.
Lovely. What's the short review, Chris?
If you like character action games, it's another great one of them. So similar to Devil May Cry, the previous obviously Bayonetta games. I said when I thought I finished it because I put in the group chat, I'll finish Bayonetta, and then obviously had the epilogue and another credit scene at that. The only real issue with Bayonetta 3 is that it's actually on the Switch. as in like the frame rate's not great, and you can tell the resolution is pretty low. And then it's like, oh, 8 years ago we had Bayonetta 2, which is mostly runs as just as well, maybe even weirdly better, being ported from Wii U to Switch. So that's like it's like
The power of the Wii U.
What a console.
showing like the age of the Switch's hardware with
Well, bear in mind that the Wii U is
Bayonetta.
10 years old this month.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So-
saying. Like Bayonetta 2 is like the same as this, and it's from 10 years ago. So that's just like the only sort of downside. It's like, oh, if this was on a Pro Switch or something, maybe we could have got a locked 60 frames a second or something, and not of this frame rate all over the place. That's its only sort of real like downside of the game.
Okay, and that's been the main thing you played this week.
Yeah. 14 hours I think it took me to do the. So it's like an hour a chapter, I guess. 'Cause,
Lovely.
yeah.
I mean, going back to Harvestella a bit here a second.
Yeah.
I've gone on to Open Critic, so I want to have a look.
It
I
has
was
no
curious.
reviews, I believe.
This game, Dave, it's been out since the 4th, yeah?
Yeah.
It has no
Only
reviews.
2 places can be asked to even review it. That's how like little no one gives a shit about this game. Fuck me.
Well, we'll wait for Chris's review next week, and I'm sure that'll be
Yeah, I'm
the
sure.
third one that goes on there.
It's over 50 hours long, I believe. So.
Okay, so middle of this week. Chris got that done by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thursday.
There was obviously a running theme there as well. 1, 2, 3 of them were Square Enix games.
And you don't even have the lead Square Enix platform, the PS5. When they get bought by Sony and it becomes exclusive, you have no choice.
No.
Well, moving on from Pengels and the sins of the past, let's move on to me before we get to Craigo, because I'll have to do lots of talking after. So I have, in terms of purchased this week, I have purchased 2 video games. There was a 2 for 35 at game for new PS5 games. So I bought the first one I bought. Craig is going to probably judge me a little bit, but it was a cool edition. That's why I bought it, and that is 2 Point Campus Enrollment Edition. Which I didn't really need to buy because it's on Game Pass, but I just kind of looked at it and was like, yeah, I was like, of the other
Plus,
game...
if you play that, you play it on the laptop, surely on PC Game Pass.
So unfortunately, Craig, I have a Mac, as you know, so...
Oh, yeah, that was
It
God.
was a decision I made. But anyway, it's good for this and it's good for Football Manager. We're okay. We'll move on. So I've got that. I haven't played that yet. It looks really cool. The edition that I got, in fairness, is a really cool edition, and that's me. And the other game I got with it is one you will approve of, Craig, and that is the game I have chosen for Platinum number 50, and that is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So that's the 2 games I've bought this week, and that is going to be Platinum number 50, which is going to be Jedi Fallen Order.
Do you have to beat it on hard?
No.
I was about to say.
Don't believe there's any difficulty trophies. There's a couple miscellaneous ones, but I think I have quite a high completion percentage on Xbox, and obviously I played that on the One S, so I'm very excited to play it at 60 HDR. Because it didn't run great when it came out, if you remember, Craig. Jedi Fallen Order, so really excited.
Yeah, I was lucky. I didn't play it for quite a bit after launch when
Yeah.
it came to
Did you
EA
play it on
Game Pass.
Series X as well?
Probably.
Yeah, I'd imagine you did. So yes, you've had the fun, but when it came out, it was barely a 30. Looked like a potato on the 1S. So still love the game, and I love Star Wars. So any excuse to go back, but that is Platinum number 50 to go. As for what I have played this week, so I'm trying to remember. So first of all, obviously we all know about my quest for 45 platinums. I finished
50 platinums.
50
Surely
platinums.
50.
Sorry, I'm just talking out my ass now. Quest for 50 platinums. The first one I did was, for the 3rd time, I completed The Artful Escape. This time I did the PS4 version, so I've now got all of them. Got the 100. I've got the 1000G and both platinums for The Artful Escape. Still a fun game. When you know what you're doing, you can do that game in about 30 minutes, by the way. It's hilarious. But yeah, Annapurna doing bits for me. I think I'd done the Order 1886 last week, but I can't remember if I had platinumed it last week, but I have platinumed the Order 1886. Weirdly, I think that game's better now than it was when it came out. Real Gears of War 1 vibes with that game. Real Gears of War 1 vibes with that game. Still looks ridiculously good as well, considering it's not got any enhancements. I think it's locked 30 as well, but yeah. That was a fun time. What else have I done? Yesterday I did the PS5 port of What Remains of Edith Finch. Another game I really love. I don't think it originally had a platinum on PS4. My memory seems to serve, but it does have.
Remember.
It does have a platinum on PS5. That came out like last week. It's got like 4K HDR, 60 frames. Still a really beautiful game. Still a really fun game. I think it's another Annapurna game.
They are the publisher. Yeah,
doing bits of it.
It's one of the better of that sort of game, definitely.
Oh yeah, it's probably my favorite. There's that and Tacoma is pretty close.
Yeah, Firewatch is never a good shout as well. It's never a good one.
I'm trying to think. I'm gonna have to actually pull up my true trophies. I feel like there's one more game I've platinumed. While I'm looking at that, the only other game I've played on Xbox is me and my partner finished the story of Lego Incredibles, and we are now going behind and doing all of the side quests, try and get the 100% completion because she wants that to be her first 100% completion. So, a girl after my own heart. But yeah, it's a really fun game. If you like Lego, then I really do encourage playing Lego Incredibles because it's not really Lego Incredibles. It's kind of Lego Incredibles 1 and 2, and then it's like Lego Pixar basically is the best way to explain it. Yeah. So the other game I 100% is a bit of a Bengals one, but I think this would be too hard for Bengals, and that is Super Destronaut Land Wars. So the Super Destronaut games are the Ratalika like Space Invader games that are actually kind of hard. I think the last two took me about 3 hours. This one is a first-person shooter, and it is definitely the worst one. Kind of hard because it's a first-person shooter that doesn't have like ADS, and it kind of feels like a virtual reality game that's just kind of been ported as a shooter because it's got that like Space Invaders art style but in like 3D. Some of the challenges were quite difficult, but yeah, I think that took me. What did that take me? I think about 2 hours.
You just reminded me that I think it was either Ratalika or East Asia Soft just released like a random first-person shooter that looked like that's supposed to be an easy platinum or an easy 1000G game.
It's tough. So the Ratalika games are funny because the Ratalika games aren't even actually that bad now, which is actually crazy. So this could be a whole discussion. Because obviously there's the other publisher which Chris uses quite frequently on PlayStation that does the one button platinum stuff. You know,
I want
like Super Touch Fitness and Chixie and all those like awful trash Craig, like worse than Ratalika, way worse than Ratalika. Like it's literally you hold R1 for 5 seconds, then you get all the trophies. Like it's
there's
awful.
The ones that are worse than Ratalika on Xbox as well, who do the easy platinum, the easy completions, and then they do the awful like DLC.
Yeah, they make like 4,000 points and stuff.
Yeah, that is the dirtiest like nonsense ever.
Yeah, I mean, I want to do a whole episode talking about trophies and platinums. Maybe next week we'll do that just in general because I think it's like a state of the address kind of conversation to have because it's like I'm really enjoying going for 50 platinums, but it's like we've said before, like if I wanted to be a Pengals, I could spend 25 quid and get 100 this afternoon. Like you know what I mean? It's like it's the same with 1000G. Like
it's kind of sad that it's kind of lame that in that way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's you want like the reach to 200,000 for you, for example, Craig, to be quite a fun thing, and it will because of how you've done it. But it's like if you wanted to, you could get to 1 million before Christmas easily by just playing crap. Like you know what I mean? Yeah. And not even like fun, jokey crap like Peppa Pig, like literal like crap. So obviously I can't wait to hear about Craig play Peppa Pig.
Yeah.
As for the On-Rush update, because I know that's another thing people want, it's really starting to piss me off. It's so it's got to the point where I need 4 trophies, but it is so luck-based now that like I don't think I'm going to be able to get the 2 online ones done before the end of the month. To be honest, like I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. I'm going to try, but I don't think I will because it's so RNG. So you have to get 250 gear drops, and you have to like the challenges because you'll have like 4 races in a row, Craig, and it's not really races. They're like multiplayer matches, like 6v6, and you'll have AI on your team, and you need to get you need to capture 15 of 18 captures to win, which obviously the AI can capture without you. And then you need to win 4 races on the trot. So I did it the other day, got my 15 captures, got to the last race, and my AI team decided not to do anything useful. The other AI won, got 8 captures in a row and won. And I had to do it all again. It took me about an hour and a half to get to that point. And that's not even close to the hardest thing to do in the game. So I'm just like tearing my hair out. So I will keep trying to get the 2 online ones, because if I can get the online ones, then it gives me longer to get the platinum, but that may unfortunately fall by the wayside.
Yeah, I'm just checking out. It's only a 2% completion on Xbox.
Yes,
so
it's not a high percentage at all. It would be my rarest one, which would continue my. It would make my top 5 all car-based games if I were to get it, which is quite funny on PlayStation. But yeah, we'll see. And the only other game I completely forgot, I've just noticed on my trip, the only other game I've been playing, this is one for Chris, I've been playing Jack 2 on my Vita.
Nice.
Runs like absolute dick on Vita, unfortunately. So
you're playing a handheld, though.
I play my Vita probably more. I've probably played my Vita more this year than Chris has played the Steam Deck.
You plug it into your telly, though?
No, I play it in bed when I'm watching TV.
Oh, you're doing it all
like
wrong,
like a normal person.
You're doing it all wrong.
Long live the Vita. The Vita lives forever. But yes, that's me. As for this week coming, there could be many games, but you'll find out next week. I could even get to 49 by next week, and then it's the Star Wars show. So, Craigo, how about you? What have you been buying? What have you been playing? What is on the agenda?
In terms of buying, nothing with a K.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. There's just too much on Game Pass for me to have to buy anything at this point. It's just silly. I don't even bother looking. Someone's dying. Don't die. Survive. Survive.
Oh no, he's died since I've forgotten.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I'm back. I lived. They didn't hear me cough. I muted me, but obviously you didn't go with the flow. But anyway, carry on.
I was too busy laughing.
Oh Christ.
So in terms of playing, I finally finished Deathloop.
Finally.
I'm just looking on. To be fair, it's only taken me 20 hours. But that's probably been. When did I start it? I started on the 3rd of October, so over a month. So that's. It shows that little and often I do with gaming now. To only get 20 hours. That's a Monday for Pengy, isn't it? 20 hours, Christ.
Hey, I started Bayonetta on the 28th, and it's now the 7th.
Oh, you take your time with it. So yeah, I finished that one. Really enjoyed it. Would definitely recommend it if you have Game Pass. It does when you've done all your kind of leads and you have all the clues. It does then give you like a new set of leads, which is basically the final loop, and it kind of holds your hand a bit and guides you through what you need to do. Which is what I was hoping would happen. I really was hoping I wasn't gonna have to sit there and actually work it out and go, right, I need to do this in the morning in this place, and I need to go back and read this clue, and do I need to do that there or then or later? It just tells you basically. It's just like, you've already done this. You don't want to go back and read all this nonsense. So that's good. I'm glad it does that. A couple of different endings you can get. I got what I think is probably the good ending. I think I kind of got it by accident. Honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I had to do anything, and I didn't do anything, and I got the good ending. So, sometimes inaction is the best thing, boys,
Chris Pengelly motto.
Yeah. So I finished that one, and then I've started Plague Tale Requiem, which, according to True Achievements, I am 7 hours in. I believe I am in chapter 6, I want to say. Game is stunningly beautiful to play. Obviously with HDR and 4K and all that good stuff. It's such like a vivid game of colors. In fact, I had to actually turn down the HDR brightness a little bit because it was a little bit too much on the base settings for me on my TV. But it really does look beautiful. The sound in it is amazing as well. I would definitely recommend playing it with like a decent-ish pair of headphones. Because some of like the ambient noise when you're like in the cities and the music is just brilliant. In terms of like, they've not added a great deal. It is very much feels like an extension to the first one. But one of the things I think they've added, I don't believe was in the first one, they've added this kind of like natural progression, which is something I wish like more games would do. So in terms of like skills, instead of you like unlocking skill points and you go to a skill tree and you choose what you want, it kind of goes, right, you've played like this, you've been stealthy, for example.
So it's the Skyrim way.
Yeah, so therefore you're gonna unlock more skill moves. Whereas if you're more aggressive and just kind of kill motherfuckers, then you get the aggression traits and you unlock it that way.
Craig, stop you there. Have you played Skyrim?
No, no, never. I think I've told the story before. I went to buy it once relatively near when it came out. I don't know if you guys can remember back then, but it sold that well that you literally couldn't buy it anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think the only way I remember going into Game Station back when that was still a thing and trying to buy Skyrim, and they were like, "Yeah, no way, mate. You have to go on eBay and pay like 75 quid." Which back then, games were like what, £40 brand new. So I was like, "Hey, ain't happening."
Well,
I remember what I bought instead.
Back to your story, but obviously you've got it on Game Pass now, so do it anyway. Carry on.
Yeah, yeah. One day. I mean, I'd wait for the next Elder Scrolls, whenever that is, in 2047. But yeah, Plague Tale, very good from what I've played so far. It's as good as I was expecting it would be. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to kind of putting more hours into it. The story's very good. Both the characters are great. They've got the two that you play as mainly. So yeah, I mean, it's a good chance. I think I don't want to spoil anything, boys. That this could be the game of the year for Mr. Craig.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's big talk. I mean, we'll talk about that in a month's time, Craig. But
yeah,
lovely. Has that been obviously the only thing you've really played? You said you've been. We need to get you a new job. I think that's what we need to do, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, I've been running so much. It's been
running away from your problems. You okay?
Exactly. That is. That's what they say. What are you running from?
Well, Arsenal are top of the league. You know
exactly.
what I mean? Why are you running? What are you running free from, Craig? Get a 9 to 5 like me, mate. You suddenly get every night free.
We're bloody brilliant.
Every night, Craig. Cool. Well, that's a pretty productive week. I mean, Chris has bought 25 games and played none.
I bought 5 and
I've
played
bought games
and
I didn't
finished
need
one
to
of
buy,
them.
and Craig's played Game Pass. So we're all on brand, which is good. Lovely. Well, speaking of brands, there's nothing to do with brands. Let's get to our topic of the show. So, as voted on by the wonderful users of Elon Musk's Twitter.com, it's been selected. We're going to talk about remasters today. So, I may not have been clear on my poll, but it's not talking about the ones we want because we've actually already done that episode. Unfortunately for Chris, who's very upset that he doesn't get to ask for games that he won't play. So, we're going to talk about just the trend of remasters. What do we think? So, obviously, since we've last talked, we've had Silent Hill 2, we've got Resident Evil 4 coming out, we got Dead Space coming out, we got, reboots / remasters of Alone in the Dark, we've had Project Zero, and that's just the horror games, boys. So that's before we even get to anything else. So what do we think about the trend of remasters? Now, Craig, I think we're going to start with you because I think you're the most interesting person here, because you're a little bit newer to gaming than me and old Pengy, so the remasters have kind of been around forever. What do you think? Do you think we should keep doing this remaster thing, or do we just keep doing the enhanced ports? What are you thinking?
So for me, like you say, I didn't really get into gaming properly until kind of the 360 era. And obviously there are games that are remade or remastered from then, but then it's not as necessary as things that would have to be remade or remastered from before that, where they would feel a lot more dated. For me, I enjoy more and look forward more to stuff that I haven't played being remade or remastered, which sounds a bit weird, I know, because most people are like, "Oh, I played this game when I was 11 and I want it remade." But for me, it's kind of the excitement of things that I've maybe missed over the years, which would be quite a lot of stuff. And then I don't want to go back because I'm like, oh, that's going to be, going back to something from the 360 now. It's not going to feel great. I'm not going to enjoy it. But things like, dear Lord, someone's just slammed something. Things like Dead Space, for example, which is coming next year. I never played the Dead Space games back in the day. And I wouldn't go back to them now because, like I said, they probably feel quite dated at this point. So them doing like a nice shiny new remake is like, oh, I really want to play that. I hope I like it, and I hope they do Dead Space 2 remake. It kind of get me into that series, kind of the way that Resident Evil did. To be fair, Resident Evil, I was never a big Resident Evil guy. I'd only ever played 5 just because it was co-op, and then they did the 2 remake, and I absolutely loved it. And now I'm like the podcast Resident Evil stan. Play all of them now that come out. Same with Destroy All Humans was similar. That obviously came out. I'd never played that. Absolutely loved it, and now I really want to play the second one that's come out as well. But it's not enough time. So yeah, I like the trend of remakes and remasters, especially for stuff for me that I haven't played. That's what gets me more excited. Obviously, you can get into some of the stuff, some of the shenanigans that goes on where they're remaking, remastering stuff that just doesn't need to be done. But that's just money talking at the end of the day, and that people are still going to buy it.
So I think also the other end of the spectrum will be Chris. So we'll talk to Chris in a minute. Do you think that the biggest influence you is that you're so Xbox focused that because you only really play on one platform, you're not as susceptible to these remasters and remakes because they simply don't come out that often over there? Like, you know what I mean? So like what I'm trying to say is so you said you're in the 360, like they have remade Gears 1, right? That got a remaster. Halo 3 had a remaster, basically, right? But other than that, it's not really.
Yeah, I mean, Gears 1 they didn't remake it. They had that Ultimate
They had the
Edition, which
Ultimate
was a bit of
remaster. Yeah,
it's a
like
bit
that's
of
what
a
I mean. Like
remaster.
they've
And
had
they
the
added on
remasters. Like
the
in terms of
new content.
in terms of remakes on Xbox from 360 onwards, there's nothing that's jumping out really. Like I wouldn't class Halo 2.
Of was Fable, but that was original Xbox to 360.
Yeah, and that was a remaster as well. That wasn't a remake.
Yeah,
like, that was basically a remaster again, like from 360 onwards. So I think for you as well, like because I think it seems to be the PS2 era is very vogue at the moment, which is kind of where a lot of these remakes and remasters are coming from. So I think for you, like you said, like you're treating them as new games, like, and that's how the publisher wants you to treat them as well. So that's good. That's what they want. You know what I mean? Like for them, you're the perfect person. Like you said, Resident Evil is a perfect example that Chris will have the opposite opinion of in a minute when we talk to him. But like, you didn't play those games that came out in the 90s because you weren't gaming. Now you are gaming. You're into the series. You're going to buy Village. You're going to probably play the DLC when it goes on sale. You're probably, you know what I mean? Like that's a good way to look at it. On the other end of the spectrum.
Although I will say just before, I think you are right though with the Xbox side of things.
And they don't do remasters because they do them built in as well. Like, another thing I was going to say, I've just even remembered. Something like I noticed playing Lego. This is a really random example. So Lego Incredibles on the Xbox One has an FPS boost, also HDR on Series X. So I'm basically playing a Lego Incredibles remaster that's 60 frames a second in HDR for free because they're not charging me. So I don't even really look at it like a remaster because it's not. It's that ecosystem is doing its thing, and when you just play on that ecosystem, and I know people will say this is what people will say, they have the least iconic games, so that's why they don't remake anything. But like, they just haven't been around as long, and the games they make, they kind of enhance. So like, Fallout 4 is getting a Series X patch, and Forza Horizon 4, which we were playing, got a patch, and it felt like a remaster, but it wasn't, you know. So I think that's probably half of it with you.
Yeah,
again,
the
thing, opposite to us.
You saying that like the Xbox games, like a lot of them have sort of been. Like you said the 360, the Xbox like 360 games had been done. Like you said, the Halo 3 part of the Master Chief Collection, Gears of War 1, then been in Gears of War 2. So what you really only be doing would be Xbox One games, which is only like a generation ago. Which you said, like I've got the free updates and that, or if they're going to do something like Perfect Dark, where it's going to be like a whole new reboot.
Oh, if I lost Pengy?
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I lost everyone then.
Yeah. Same
but yeah, like going back to you were saying about the other consoles. Like, I mean, when we did our last Switch. They did, their big event thing, and I was the one that's kind of skeptical. Like, God, there's so many just remasters and ports. So I think like at that end of the spectrum, I do look at it and just go, like, what does anyone care about these like JRPGs that look like the Trials of Mana games, or whatever they are, that look old and dated as hell, and like who wants to play this? So yeah, I think I'm not a big fan of that sort of thing where it's just kind of glossing over games and saying they're remastered and just chucking them on new consoles like that. That doesn't get me excited in any way. I'd much rather a full blown like proper remake of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, because again, I think I'm middle of you two. Like, again, we'll get to Chris in a sec. Like, the reason I don't mind remasters and re-releases and ports is because all it does is basically means that I don't have to go and set up all my old consoles. That's kind of the only reason I like them in a way, because I have a lot of games consoles. I have a lot of games history. Like, I buy a lot of games. For me, the fact that a console can play those games is great, because it means I don't have to get my N64 out and play my N64 copy of Mario 64 because it's on Switch, and they haven't done any improvements to it. It's just widescreen, maybe. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not great, but that's the only reason I can sort of see why they keep doing these ports, because there's a lot of people like me that will go out and buy it for one console just for the sake of having it on a console. But I also agree with you. Like, I really only play the remasters or the remakes of either games that I am genuinely interested in. I haven't played in a while, so Final Fantasy VII Remake, and even then, that's a different game. It's really not. It's just characters that I like. You know what I mean? Or series I haven't played, but I'm not. A lot of them. I mean, I know this is the Vogue again. The Vogue thing. It's like everything seems to be horror remakes at the minute. So I'm like, I'm not fussed. When it was platformers like 5 years ago, and it was Crash, and it was Spyro, and it was whoever, then that was kind of what I was interested in, because I like those games, and you don't get a chance to play them anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like Ratchet and Clank, when they did the movie one, I was like, yeah, I'll play that game. Like, it feels like a new game, but it's not. Like, you know what I mean? So, and I think as well, the big thing for me, like, my favorite genre of games is driving games, and there's not really a need to remake and remaster driving games, because you just make new, better driving games, right? Like, there's no point remaking Dirt 1 when we've got Dirt 5, so it's like, But yeah, I think there's a bit of an over-reliance on it, on Nintendo and PlayStation's first party, to be honest with you, because they are the kind of ports that you talk about where it's not really that different. I mean, I would like to say PlayStation are getting better because they're doing the PS5 patches, but then you just had The Last of Us Part 1. So I'm like, oh, maybe not. But yeah. What about you, Pengy? Because I know for you, you have some strong opinions about some of these remakes in comparison to original versions and stuff.
Yeah, like the Resident Evil ones, like I wasn't keen on the remakes of them. Like, 4's coming, I'm not bothered. I enjoyed the old one, the old stuff. That's why I, start of this, I said I downloaded Signalis on like Game Pass. It was on Game Pass. It was like going to the back to an old school survival horror sort of game. So you got all these horror games coming, and like, maybe they're still not what I'm sort of looking for. Maybe Silent Hill 2 will be that, but then that's going to the over the camera, so see how that sort of plays out. But the medium wasn't very like action heavy from Blooper Team, so see how that one turns out.
Was there any more thoughts into like the trend of remakes? Are you particularly fond of them? Do you like all the remasters and the ports? Like, what's Pengy thinking?
I like Tactics Ogre's coming out this week, for instance, which I have got coming, because of course I have. It's just another Square Enix game. But if like other people do play that game and it does well, we might actually get a new Tactics Ogre game. If I misread like the Twitter thing you put most wanted. I was thinking Final Fantasy Tactics, because we've got Tactics Ogre coming. We've had Triangle Strategy, but if that got a remaster or remake, would we get a new Final Fantasy Tactics if that did sort of well? So that's where and the same with Resident Evil, because 2 remake did well. We've had a 3, we're having a 4. We've got, like you said, we're getting Dead Space, we're getting Silent Hill. Obviously these other companies have seen how well that's been doing. So in that terms, if we could see some old series come back and maybe stay around.
Yeah, and I think that's why companies do it. Like, it's the IP revival. So like, for me, Crash Bandicoot getting a Crash 4 was something I never thought would happen, because they revived
Cortex.
Well, like, you know what I mean, like a new Crash game. Like, they stopped making platformer Crash games in, I think 2009 maybe was the last one, Mind of a Mutant. So like, and that wasn't a particularly good game. But like, you know what I mean, like, we had to wait almost 10 years for Crash, which was one of the biggest game franchises in the world at the time. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, for me, like, that's why it's cool. Like, Resident Evil Remake 2, whatever the first one was, basically brought back horror games, because horror games were starting to get very stale. If you remember, around the early PS4, Xbox One gen, you had Alien Isolation, and that was it, really. Like, you got 7 came out, and people were like, oh, Resident Evil, okay. Okay, and then obviously Remake 2, and then like you said, you've got every horror series has got a game coming out in the next 12 months, including spiritual successes like the Callisto Protocol. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So,
Where's
which
the
again,
Parasite Eve though?
yeah, Parasite Eve has been rumored for a while, and then it won't be because Square Enix are too skint and they're making blockchain games. So
Well, no, because that name of because everyone thought it was coming back because of that symbiosis was trademarked, and that is something in the Parasite Eve games. Yeah, they've gone and trademarked it, and it's this new NFT game.
yeah, I mean that's
So instead of getting Parasite Eve,
Square Enix is a very weird company. Again, we could do a whole episode on what the hell is going on at Square Enix at the minute because they're releasing games within 2 days of each other at the moment. But by the by, and they are making a lot of remasters and remakes. Obviously, they've sold their Western divisions that were doing reboots. Obviously, Tomb Raider got rebooted again last gen.
Yeah.
And games like Hitman got a reboot and stuff like that. So I think it's interesting. I think for me, the most interesting.
I could see Deus Ex just getting a reboot.
That's been rumored recently as well. Like I think the most interesting thing for people around our age, even little Craigo now that he's over 30, is that there is starting to become a point where we are seeing the cycle go around in circles again, where we're going to get sequels to games and remasters to games, but we're occasionally getting the odd new IP. So it's interesting to see where we go, what's next. Like, what's the next big franchise to get a remake? It's probably going to be Metal Gear, right? I think that's probably the next big remake, remaster that's going to get announced. And I'm talking big. I'm talking like classic series. Like we said with Xbox, I don't know where they go. I think it's the rare IPs is kind of all they can do in terms of reboots, but they seem very keen on making new IP, which again is better for everyone because it's new games for everyone. And then Nintendo will keep making the same games they make until the end, the heat death of the universe, Craig, and there'll be rumours of a Wind Waker port to whatever platform's coming out.
And Chris Bengali will still buy it.
I'd not finish it, but yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, like I said, in terms of, I'm kind of all on the sort of repackaging of games at the minute, which I'm quite enjoying. Like I'm enjoying playing Jedi Fallen Order again because it's been repackaged as like a port, and like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot's getting a patch, in January, and Fallout's getting a patch. Like I haven't played Fallout 4. It's gonna feel like a new game for me. Like, I haven't played it, so it's like, okay, cool. Like I'll play that game. I know we're getting Starfield, which is you know what I mean. Like all this kind of stuff is very interesting. So I need something to play when you keep putting these horror games out. So
yeah, I can see like I don't know, because it's again going back. Like the thing, like the 360 generation, and I know it hasn't done particularly well, like Gotham Knights, but I could see us getting like an Arkham Asylum remake.
I think Gears of War is probably one that I'm not thinking about enough.
I don't think they'll remake Gears of War.
I think they'll do.
I think they're quite happy with where they. I think they'll do 6 next. Obviously, Coalition are on about doing. I think the talk is they're going to do something else that isn't Gears of War.
I hope so. We need to replay 5, by the way, because I haven't finished it.
Yeah, but I really don't think there's any. Like Gears of War 1 is what they did with the Ultimate Edition is so good. I think we played the Ultimate Edition, and then we went back and played the 360 version because you wanted one of the achievements, and like you play the Ultimate Edition and you think, oh, it's good, it's fluid and that, but they haven't done that much. And you go back and play the 360 version, you're like, oh, okay, it's changed a hell of a lot. Like it runs so much better, and it looks so much better as well. So yeah, I don't know, I can't see them doing anything with Gears, to be honest with you.
And I also forgot as well the next, like I think we might have talked about it last week, but obviously The Witcher 1 getting a remake, like a later version of the game coming out, doing really well. Let's go back and tell the old stories we've already written. You know, it's easier to use that old content. They do it in films all the time as well, right? So, yeah, very curious. And I'd say, as for remakes, we're looking forward to. I mean, half the games I'm looking forward to next year are remakes because I just don't know about the new games yet. You know, the reboots. Obviously,
I mean, GHQ have just made their whole business model around this as well, haven't they?
PS2 games.
Yeah, it's essentially what they're doing now,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. Actually, I'm glad that someone's like bringing back these kind of obscure games that
Well,
a
yeah, I
lot of
mean,
people wouldn't have played back
they're
in the day.
doing the IP thing. Like they're releasing these older remasters, and then they're going, "Well, if you buy SpongeBob enough, we'll do a new one." And they're doing a new one. They're doing a new Darksiders, right? Like all these kind of games. Like there's new Time Splitters. They put these old games out. And they go, "We'll tell you what. If you buy it, we'll make a new one." Like, you know what I mean? If you like game A, if you like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like, if you like Red Faction, you buy the Red Faction remake enough, we'll make a new Red Faction. Why not? So like, it's smart, it's clever. And obviously with Game Pass, again, this is a conversation we have every week, but like Game Pass changes it up because if you've got a deal with it and it's like, well, we're going to put Destroy All Humans on Game Pass. Suddenly, Craig, who wasn't a fan before, is like, oh, this was fun. Oh, they only released their games at 35 quid. Okay, when they drop a little bit, I'll buy it. You know, and so it's like, okay. I could also go the other way, by the way, and CC Saints Row for the other way it could go. But yeah, we've not had too many of those this year, have we? Apart from all the games ever. But yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's the end of our conversation. Unless anyone else has anything interesting to say.
No, not that I can think of.
Chris Bengali never has anything interesting.
So
No.
thank you for watching the show. If you want to get us involved, tell us what kind of how your opinions of remakes and remasters, where you think you're going. Have you played more remasters and remakes than new games on this current gen? All that kind of good stuff. Obviously, Chris is going to do a whole new episode next week about how many hours of Steam Deck he's played. Can't wait to see that on the channel.
Yeah, very short episode.
Very short. There will be some trophy videos for the channel at some point in the next week or so, before I jet off on yet another holiday at the end of the month. Can't help myself, boys. And yes, Craig will be on Game Pass. You'll be able to find him on Game Pass. He literally lives as part of it at this point. So thank you for watching. We will see you next week.
Bye.